All right, wonderful people, lovers of freedom. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to each and every one of you. Welcome back to Expose News TV, your one and only YouTube platform, where they give them back-to-back update on how things they be, on how things they share for Biafra land and beyond. If you're joining us for the first time, remember to subscribe and turn on your notifications too. Also remember to like and share this broadcast as it is hot. All right, my people, it says here that the latest one, Enugu community has lamented, yes, on the fact that Fulani headsmen have been given issues and they have been destroying their crops and farms, and they have begged for government assistance. And what I'm trying to explain to you here at this point is that we all know that the government is not going to do anything about it, and that is the truth of the matter. The government is not going to do anything about it. Now let us go into the full details of this particular news. It says here that a man narrowly escaped in a video that was posted recently on Twitter. It says here now that this thing is coming from a local government area in Enugu State, Eziama Agwobu, or in Ezago, local government area of Enugu State. He said that residents of that local government area were thrown into chaos on Tuesday when herdsmen abducted a man, his wife, and son while they were collecting firewood in the bush. The man narrowly escaped, as seen in the video that was posted, because there was a video that was actually posted on Twitter. A community leader who spoke in the video expressed distress over the incident, highlighting the ongoing issue of cattle destroying their crops and agricultural farms. He appealed to the Enugu state government to intervene and address the alarming rate of farm destruction, seeking protection for their means of livelihood. The incident has sparked concern and fear among the agrarian community who rely on their farms for survival. The community leaders' plea for government assistance aims to ensure their safety and the preservation of their agricultural resources. Now, the man has narrated. This is what the man said. He said, what happened today is that we cultivated this agric farm. We decided to fence it with our bamboos before we shared it among ourselves because cow destroys our crops. When we started fencing the farm, the herders came and started asking us what we were doing because they would come back and remove the fence. It is the audacity of these people in a different land, in a land that is not yours, is where you have the audacity to come out and say these kind of things. My people, you cannot try this in the northern land. If you try it, you are gone. That's just the truth of the matter. If you make a mistake to try this type of thing, they would stab you there and then. But then this is where the Igbo land is the place where they feel they can wake up and talk anyhow to people that originally own the land. True to their threats, today they came and destroyed the fence. So while they were destroying it, we got information and came and pursued them. They attacked one of our brothers with their sticks and told us that they would return. After we pursued them, one of our sisters and her husband went to fetch firewood from there. They seized the husband, so the wife and son escaped and ran home to tell us. Now, the person in question that was held started narrating how it happened. He said, our dog came and my wife and son came to make a report that I was seized by the Fulani headsmen inside the bush. My wife escaped with my son when I was exchanging words with them. When I was asking them, will you kill me and kill my wife? For what offense? At that point, I didn't know that my family had already escaped to come home and give information on how to rescue me. When the herders discovered that my family had escaped, apparently sensing danger, they released me. When they released me, I turned and I started calling my wife and son, but they were nowhere to be found. That was when I knew that they had escaped. He narrated. The farm the herders destroyed is located in the agric of Eziama Agwobu. Yes, my people, as Idehot, that is what is happening currently. The audacity of these people to abduct a man that is coming to collect firewood from his own land because they've decided to block him or stop them from collecting wood from their own land. This is what these people have decided to do. This is what they've woken up to say that they will stop them from collecting wood. My people, this is a very tragic matter, a very, very heavy matter that needs to be settled immediately. I believe the Biafra Liberation Army needs to do it. When the PM comes out and says a whole lot of things concerning this, people normally say things against it. But my people, looking at it now, these people are capable of murder. And if care is not taken, I am sure they might have done it before. And we are not going to let this particular thing stand. They need to face the wrath of Igbos, of the Biafra Liberation Army. And I'm sure it's going to happen soon.
I'd like you to approach it from a different angle altogether. What probably could have informed this agitation for, of course, separation, for a referendum to go separate ways between, of course, Nigeria and the people of Biafra? Let's approach it from that angle, as you and ask ourselves, what probably can we do to see into it that we find a healing in this divide?
Yeah, I think it's paramount to understand that for starters, there was no redemption, and the word you just used, healing, from the first Biafran crisis in 1967, to the 3 years fighting. And if you remember very well, there was a brief period where they got their independence, and then the Nigerian military decided to send all the planes to just bomb indiscriminately anybody who was found in that region. And those scars are passed on in what is called transgenerational trauma. You don't even have to tell your child about this. It's the same thing that affects most African countries. You don't really need to tell your child, hate this person or hate this person, but the way you behave and the way you talk about these things and the tone with which you use, your children pick that, and then they grow up with that. They send it to their children and their children's children, and each generation comes forth understanding their history and knowing very well that we are the people who have been marginalized in a country where we are one of the most, we are creating profit. We're bringing GDP, one of the highest rates of GDP. We're bringing the largest group of intelligent people. We're bringing the largest group of talented people. And yet we are the people who are not benefiting from all this. And this crisis goes on in most of the countries that we are finding, we are finding, in the African continent with protests currently like Amazonia and Ethiopia. If you bring in another angle of how the Nigerian government has been dealing with this agitation, I believe, or I think, if they were to avoid the situation that they're finding themselves in, they really should have addressed the issue of why there was a Biafran war. There was a Biafran war, rather, in the first place. As it is, they are taking the Paul Biya approach of assuming everything is fine because we're in Lagos, while everything is not fine. People continue to die. You continue to apply the colonial methodology of handling protests, and that is arresting people arbitrarily, disappearing people arbitrarily. For a very long time, we don't know where Nnamdi Kanu is. That should not happen in this day and age. For a very long time, I don't know how many Biafrans have disappeared, how many have run from their homes, fearing persecution or fearing death. And that is a very old, very archaic way of dealing with these protests. Most of these African governments could have benefited and could have avoided this crisis if they came forth and asked the people, what is it we can do for you? Where did we go wrong? How can we institute healing to begin in the Biafran region to start with? How can we make sure that we set up, even if it's a ministry, or talk to the Ministry of Devolution, because Nigeria was one of the countries that started the federal system in Africa, and yet you have people with no roads. It makes zero sense, and that is a very it's a very bad conviction on devolution in Africa. So as it is, I think the onus is on the Nigerian government, first of all, to understand why there was a Biafran war in the first place, understand why it still goes on.
All right, we must continue. There was an issue of network, but I believe we are back. Please let me know if you can hear my voice from your end. If you can hear my voice from your end, please let me know so that we can continue. Very, very important.
24, the battle begin. And we are not going to stop. If it is going to take us 20 years to fight Nigeria differently than what we did in 67 and 70, we are ready for it. If it takes also 23 years for Taliban to defeat America and they left their land, we are ready to fight even 40 years.
Now, a lot of people do not understand that. It took 23 good years for Taliban to defeat America in their own land, and America left them. We are not talking about what happened in the past. This is not history. Of course, it's part of their history. But you know, when you say history, it looks like something that happened in the olden days. We are talking about something that happened recently under the regime of Joe Biden, as it stands today. We are talking about something that happened just recently, which all of us are aware. That battle did not start today. That battle has been there for many years, for very many years. They've been fighting between Taliban and America. And finally, do you know how Taliban won the battle? I am not praising them because they were, categorized as a terrorist group. So I'm not praising them. I am not praising them at all. So, but I'm saying that the moment they won the battle, do you know how they won the battle? They entered the bush. They entered the bush. And they fought relentlessly with all the fighter jets, all the Super Tucano, all the, armor tanks and everything that America have. It never moved the Taliban. They fought relentlessly until they toppled that government. Like as I said, I am not praising them at all. Because I do not really have the clear picture of their battle for many years of war. But I only noticed that they took over the government. America ran away. The president ran away. They took over the military. They took over the government. That one happened just recently. But now let us bring it to Sudan. I think the Prime Minister said something about Sudan. So let's continue.
Since 1967 to 2024, Nigeria continued to fight us. The only thing is that we have not fought Nigeria until now. And in this fight, we are still defending ourselves. So 2nd of December will mark the beginning of the Biafra liberation. Do not expect something or any magic to happen. Beat America and they left their Nigeria differently than what we did in the 67 and 70. We are ready for it. If it takes also 23 years afternoon, is for you to understand that after the declaration in December 2nd, 2024, the battle begins. And we are not going to stop. If it is going to take us 20 years to fight Nigeria differently than what we did in the 67 and 70, we are ready for it. If it takes also 23 years for Taliban to defeat America and they left their land, we are ready to fight even 40 years. Since 1967 to 2024, Nigeria continued to fight us. The only thing is that we have not fought Nigeria until now. And in this fight, we are still defending ourselves. So 2nd of December will mark the beginning of the Biafra liberation.
Did you get that? 2nd of December will mark the beginning of Biafra liberation. Are you paying attention? That is the reason why the Prime Minister has been reading, history of other countries, and of recent, the history of Finland, where he holds their citizenship. After the declaration, that will mark the beginning of our battle for freedom. Don't think it's going to be treated like, with kids' glove. No. Because the zoo called Nigeria will not chicken out. South Sudan fought for 21 good years. Is it 21 or 27 years? I think 21 years. The most important thing there is your resilience and your resistance. That is the most important thing. Once Biafra is declared on December 2nd, the main war begins. And remember that we determine how this war will be fought. And they know. The zoo is aware. Somebody said 30 years. 30 years? 30 years, I'm not sure. I think it's 20-something. But the Prime Minister is telling you that even if it takes us 40 years, we will fight it. One thing is for sure. Freedom must surely be guaranteed. That is one thing. The whole of, you see all this brouhaha. All this brouhaha. The end point is freedom. The end point is freedom. One thing that gives me joy is that the end point is freedom. We are going to fight the zoo. Stand still. Stand still. The end point, the final battle is freedom. That is where we all face. That is the focus. And that is the reason why we will never stop fighting the zoo until that freedom is guaranteed. Once Biafra independence is declared on the 2nd of December, that is when the real fight begins. That is when you begin to see all the things that the PM has been saying. Both the one he said, you will wake up and you will no longer steal beans. All of those things will happen from the declaration of Biafra. And remember, a lot of things will happen, which I will not even say now, even though I'm aware of it. It also gives us the legitimacy to travel to the countries. Oh, child. A lot of things will happen. It will also give us the legitimacy to travel to the countries that have recognized us with our international passport, Biafran international passport. Are you paying attention? It will give us the legal right to travel with our own international passport to any country that recognizes us. That is how it works. And we will also have bilateral agreements and dealings with any country that recognizes us. The zoo is truly in a mess. They don't know what is hitting them. They don't know yet. Many things will happen to the zoo. A lot of things are going to happen to the zoo moving forward. We are all praying to see that very December 2nd. That is what we want. To see that December 2nd. Because I'm telling you the truth. Many things which is coming with declaration of Biafra that has not even been made public. There are too many. Many of them. There are many. Because once Biafra is declared, brothers and sisters, a lot of things will come with it. And remember that the battle for Biafra independence is in the public. The whole world is following. The world is paying very, very good attention to what is going on in our land. So it is not a secret. It is not a secret. Now, I want to show us something. I want us to see something before we go into another segment of this very broadcast.
Do not expect something or any magic to happen. We will make the magic to happen. Thank you, and may God bless you.
Now, I want us to see something before we go into the next segment of this very broadcast. Meanwhile, I'm going to, I'm going to share the number so that those of you who would want to call in, and those of you who were unfortunate to reach us yesterday will also have the opportunity to call today and, of course, make your contribution. Meanwhile, let us see something, because the moment the Prime Minister made that very video today, so people began to run mad. People begin to run mad. Hold on, let me bring something to the screen so that we can read it together. There is an update from the Prime Minister of the B.L.A. Let's read this. I don't know. I don't want to read it alone yet, because if I read it alone, I may be, distracted. So let me quickly bring it to the screen so that, of course, we can read it together and see what that means. According to the PM, he said it's big. So let us read together and see what that means. Very, very, very important. Let's read, please. Breaking. It is happening. It is happening. This is big. He said, Biafrans, however, are not going to subordinate their faith to support State Department pandering, nor are the Igbo willing to pretend that they feel safe and secure in Nigeria. Between February and May 2024, the Biafra Republic government in exile held a referendum to allow Biafrans and their diaspora to declare if they wished to remain part of Nigeria or become an independent country. 30 million voted, a greater number than those who cast ballots in Nigeria's most recent presidential election. Those who cast physical ballots on the Biafra referendum registered in advance and showed voting cards. While those who cast their vote electronically used Google Forms to ensure they only voted once. The results are consistent with public opinion surveying. Now, this is of course, the national security. Okay, this is a foreign publication. It is another foreign media house reporting the Biafra self-referendum and the subsequent declaration. No wonder the Prime Minister said this is huge, this is big. No wonder. So what we are going to do, I will personally read it after this very program, probably this night, and then we might talk about it tomorrow morning. Yes. So another international media platform reporting the Biafra self-referendum. Now, there's another thing the Prime Minister said. He said here, the same publication, Biafran leaders suggest they could declare independence as soon as this autumn. Biafrans, it seems want self-determination, even if they do not declare independence. However, the Nigeria government's unwillingness to address ethnic persecution and anti-Christian discrimination cannot continue. Blinken believed he could sweep persecution under the carpet in the name of diplomacy. You see, this is a foreign media publishing about what is going on in Biafra, between Biafra and Nigeria. He believed that if the State Department refrain from criticizing the Nigerian leadership's bigotry, Washington and Abuja might enjoy smooth relationship. Washington and Abuja might enjoy smooth relations, which is something that the other party and the other president will never tolerate. I don't know if you pay attention to this. He believed, that is Blinken. I don't know if he's the foreign home affairs or the foreign minister of foreign affairs. I think so, if I'm not mistaken. He believed that if the State Department of America refrain from criticizing the Nigerian leadership's bigotry, Washington and Abuja might enjoy smooth relations. I repeat, which is something the other party and the other president will not tolerate. But this one won that smooth relationship with Abuja. Therefore, they must sweep under the carpet the atrocities meted on Biafran people. Shame. Very big shame. Very, very big shame. Unbelievable. Now, it is impossible to paper over such persecution. However, by refusing to demand that Nigeria treat all its citizens equally and respect their cultural and religious freedom, Blinken and the State Department demonstrated that Biafrans could not work within the system. It is obvious. This is in the open. Foreign Affairs, thank you. This is in the open. You guys, thank you so much. Now, let us see something. There's something I want us to see. There's something very, 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 very important. Very, very, absolutely important. So let us see it. You know, after the video that was made by the Prime Minister, Afonjas, and what is the name of the other ones in Igbo land? We call them, what do we call them? Can somebody remind me, please? There's another name we call them in Igbo land. In Yoruba land, we call them Afonja. In Igbo land, we call them we call them in Igbo land there's a name we call them in Igbo land, a betrayer, a sellout. In Igbo land, we call it not a fulefu. There's this name, this man that betrayed Ojuku, Ifajuna. Thank you, Uchechukwu. Ifajuna. In Igbo land, we call them Ifajuna. So after the Prime Minister dropped that very video, now watch. According to the PM, he said the difference between an educated Afonja and IPOB Nigeria illiterate. The Afonja, after listening to my speech, understood me very well, and he knows everything that I said, and he used word of attrition. Word of attrition. Word of attrition. You can check the meaning why the IPOB Nigeria illiterate is saying, I am working for the Nigeria government. You see the difference? You see the difference, right? Now, these are the comments. The DOS follower, DOS Nigeria West Africa Limited, said psychologically programming his auto imbecile, whatever he said. Now, this man is not an Afonja, actually. Okay, no, this is Afonja. The other one, this one is one that is not Afonja, but this one is an Afonja. He said, Njoku, the terrorists just declared a war of attrition on the Nigerian state. That is Afonja. After watching the video, now let us check something. Let us check something very, very important. As we check that, let me also post the number on your screen so that those of you who want to call in and make your contribution will be able to do so. Now, let us check something. Let us check something very, very, very important. Remember that word of attrition, right? Now, let's see this. Let us see this. And it says, attrition warfare is a military strategy. Listen, is a military strategy consisting of beleaguered attempts to win a war by wearing down the enemy to the point of collapse through continuous losses in personnel. Through continual losses in personnel. Are you paying attention? This is